a little bit scared about these Jonathan Taylor trade rumors. And the reason why I'm scared is because the two teams that reportedly have been showing the most interest in Jonathan Taylor do not need this guy. What the hell do the Philadelphia Eagles need Jonathan Taylor for? They already got Buff Batman, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert, one of the best defensive lines and offensive lines in the NFL. Why the hell do they need to be even more overpowered than what they already are? I was telling my classmate earlier today, if the Philadelphia Eagles get Jonathan Taylor, just give them the fucking Super Bowl. What's even the point of playing the season? I get that, the game's got to be played and the greatest teams don't always win the Super Bowl. But if Jonathan Taylor gets traded to the damn Philadelphia Eagles, you mean to tell me that you don't think they're the favorites to win it all? Who's better than Philadelphia if they get Jonathan Taylor? Tell me, who is a better team than the Philadelphia Eagles if they acquire Jonathan Taylor? The Cowboys? Stop it. The 49ers? Come on, man. If the Philadelphia Eagles get Jonathan Taylor, they at least are making it back to the Super Bowl. At least. This team is way too loaded to be needing a Jonathan Taylor. Now, getting Jonathan Taylor doesn't make the Eagles a worse team. It only makes them better. So if you put Jonathan Taylor on the damn Philadelphia Eagles, if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan and you finally think this is the year, you might want to go ahead and push those expectations back to 2024, because 2023 is probably going to belong to the Philadelphia Eagles when it comes to winning the NFC. Now, the second team that has a lot of interest in trading for Jonathan Taylor are the Miami Dolphins. Now, for the life of me, I don't understand why the Miami Dolphins have interest in improving every other position on their football team other than the offensive line. But if they get Jonathan Taylor, I'm not going to hold it against them. This is already one of the scariest offenses in the NFL. You got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and then you add Jonathan Taylor in the backfield? That's one of the best non-quarterback position groups in the NFL. You look at what they already have at wide receiver and Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and then Jonathan Taylor, one of the best running backs in the NFL. So they could have a top 5 running back, a top 5 wide receiver, and the top 10 wide receiver on the same damn roster. Even though their offensive line wouldn't be great, when you have a guy like Jonathan Taylor, he can help elevate your offensive line in a sense. The reason for that is because he's somebody that has great vision and he's also super powerful. So even if the offensive line isn't creating gaping holes, with his ability to make things happen after contact, Jonathan Taylor would make the Miami Dolphins an already scarier team than what they already are. And the big problem with the Miami Dolphins that a lot of people don't talk about is that last year they could get too one-dimensional on offense. There were games last year when the Miami Dolphins just completely abandoned the run game. This wouldn't happen if they get Jonathan Taylor. And I could put money on that. They get Jonathan Taylor, they're running this man at least 20 to 25 times a game, and he would take such a big load off of Tua Tagovailoa. When you go into the playoffs, you don't need to have a great run game. The Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl with the 7th round pick in Isaiah Pacheco. Cam Akers was RB1 for the Rams when they won the Super Bowl over the Cincinnati Bengals. You don't need to have a great running back or a great rushing attack to win a championship, but you do have to be able to play complementary football when you get in the postseason. You don't have to be great at running the football, but you at least have to be able to do it when you want to do it. You got to be able to run the football so you can take time off the clock when you're up a lot of points and to take some of the load off your quarterback. There's a lot of pressure on Tua Tagovailoa going into this season. And I'm not saying that he's not going to be able to handle it, but I am saying if you're the Miami Dolphins and you got a chance to make life easier for your franchise quarterback, why wouldn't you pull the trigger? If the Miami Dolphins acquire Jonathan Taylor, if you're a Jets fan, a Bills fan, a Patriots fan, you mean to tell me that you don't think they wouldn't even be even better than what they already are now? People are already considering the Miami Dolphins to be dark horse Super Bowl contenders. With Jonathan Taylor, he legitimizes them, if that's even how you say it, as a Super Bowl contender. They would go from dark horse contenders to legit Super Bowl contenders. And you probably could make the argument that maybe they end up being the second best team in the AFC behind Kansas City, at least right now, before week 1 of the season kicks off. Outside of Kansas City, who else could you say will have a better roster than the Miami Dolphins if they get Jonathan Taylor? Cincinnati? I mean, their offensive line is really good. They got really great receivers. Joe Mixon is a stud, but I think that's a legitimate debate. The New York Jets, the Buffalo Bills. I mean, Jonathan Taylor would do nothing but make the Miami Dolphins offense even more appealing to the national media. Everybody already loves the Miami Dolphins. The only reason why people question Miami is because they question Tua's health. And they question the offensive line. But this offensive line shouldn't be god-awful. It shouldn't be dog shit like how it has been the last 2 years. This is an offensive line that should at least be able to be average to maybe slightly above average. And that's good enough for them to be able to win the Super Bowl, because this offense is predicated on timing, rhythm, and being able to run the football. Mike McDaniels, where does he come from? He comes from the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree. And do you remember what happened to the 49ers run game when they acquired Christian McCaffrey? The run game went from being average to slightly above average to being the best in the NFL once they got CMC. This Miami Dolphins offense with Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, fam? Who's stopping this offense? Who? I mean, you can be a Bills fan, a Jets fan, a Patriots fan, whoever you root for. But if you're going to tell me that Jonathan Taylor going to the Miami Dolphins wouldn't make them a better team, then you're just a fucking hater. You are. How can you say Jonathan Taylor, who is one of the best running backs in the NFL since he's gotten drafted, wouldn't elevate Miami? They will be a scary team, fam. They already are dead terrifying right now. And they don't have Jonathan Taylor. And now they're talking about acquiring him like running back was really an issue. They already tried to get Josh Jacobs. The Miami Dolphins are one of those teams that if they get a guy like Jonathan Taylor, he may end up being the missing piece for them. This offensive line doesn't have to be great. You don't need to have a great offensive line to go far in the playoffs if you're able to compensate for not having a great offensive line with playmaking ability. Jonathan Taylor will be another home run threat for the Dolphins offense. They already have 2 of them at receiver. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, they're a threat to take it to the end zone every time they touch the football. Same thing with Jonathan Taylor. I like Raheem Mostert. He's not a bad running back. He was actually pretty good last year. It's just the Dolphins kind of forgot to feed him. But you get Jonathan Taylor, I don't give a damn. I don't care if the running back position isn't as valuable as what it used to be. Getting Jonathan Taylor doesn't make you a worse team. It only makes you better. It's like extra credit on the test. It's like you don't need it, but if you get it right, you appreciate the additional points. The Jonathan Taylor trade sweepstakes are really starting to heat up, bruh. And you better be careful what you wish for. If you were somebody who felt like Jonathan Taylor deserved to get traded for Indianapolis and you wanted him to get paid, how are you going to feel about that if you're a Cowboys fan and you got to go against him 2 times throughout the season? How are you going to feel if you're a Bills, Jets, or Patriots fan and you got to see a Dolphins offense with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Jonathan Taylor? I don't care if they got Tua at QB. I don't care how you feel about Tua. I don't care if Tua isn't a great quarterback in your eyes. This roster would be too good for Tua not to be able to get the job done. Jimmy Garoppolo took the 49ers to the Super Bowl one year. You mean to tell me you don't think Tua will be able to do the same thing with the Miami Dolphins, with JT, Tyreek, and Jalen Waddle? What? You're mad. You're crazy. You're a little insane. Just because the running back value doesn't have the same importance in the year 2023 that it did in 1975 doesn't mean that getting a great one wouldn't impact your Super Bowl chances. Getting great players does nothing but make you a better team, even if they are at positions that may not be as important to winning a championship as others, such as left tackle and pass rusher. But you can't deny that Jonathan Taylor wouldn't make them a better team. And then the Philadelphia Eagles, just the thought of him going to the Philadelphia Eagles, if I had to choose between the Eagles and the Dolphins, where I would rather see Jonathan Taylor play, I'd rather see him playing for the Miami Dolphins. The AFC is already stacked with great teams. And adding Jonathan Taylor would make the Dolphins one of the top 3 best teams in the conference. But if you give him to the Philadelphia Eagles with Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, a top 5 offensive line, a top 5 defensive line, and Jalen Hurts at quarterback, fam, how do you not pick that team to win it all? I don't want to see Jonathan Taylor in Philadelphia. I think Jonathan Taylor getting traded to the Philadelphia Eagles would be the NFL's equivalent to when Kevin Durant joined the Golden State Warriors. Like, the Dolphins, at least with him going to the Dolphins, there's a chance that they wouldn't be able to make it to the Super Bowl because of that offensive line and plus the concerns that you have with Tua's durability. But if this fool goes to the Philadelphia Eagles, dog, it's raps. How do you not say it's not raps? Seriously, they will have one of the best rosters in the history of the NFL. There wouldn't have been a team as talented as what Philadelphia would be this season if they acquired Jonathan Taylor since the year the Patriots had their undefeated record snapped in the Super Bowl against the New York Giants. I'd rather see him playing for the Dolphins than the Eagles. Because if he goes to the Eagles, I think we pretty much already know who we're picking to win it all. But if he goes to the Dolphins, yes, the Dolphins definitely would elevate themselves in the Super Bowl conversation. But with how much talent there is in the AFC between the quarterback position and just the overall team talent as a whole, the AFC still wouldn't be a gimme for the Miami Dolphins. And they still would have some legit competition to win that division. Meanwhile, Jonathan Taylor on Philly, bro, they're winning their division and they're making it out of the NFC again. The NFC is not as tough as what the AFC is because the AFC is where the majority of the best quarterbacks reside. And the NFC is different. You give the Eagles, who already have the best quarterback in the conference, the best overall team in the conference, one of the best running backs in the NFL, you don't think they're going to win it all? Okay, did you hear Jalen Hurts after they lost that Super Bowl? Have you heard what's been coming out about Jalen Hurts and how he's been responding to that Super Bowl loss? This dude is super motivated. The last thing I want to see is Jonathan Taylor joining the freaking Philadelphia Eagles, who seem to dominate free agency. They dominate in the draft. All you're going to do is kind of put Philadelphia in a position where maybe they could end up making their own dynasty. We keep talking about the Chiefs dynasty, but Jonathan Taylor to the Philadelphia Eagles, you mean to tell me that you don't think they're going to be able to at least win one Super Bowl within the next 3-4 years with him on the roster? These Jonathan trade talks are scaring the hell out of me, man. The last place I want to see Jonathan Taylor at is in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform. And I'd rather not see him playing for the Miami Dolphins. Trade him to the Chicago Bears or something. Like, bro, you mean to tell me that Jonathan Taylor playing for the Colts or the Eagles wouldn't make either one of those teams a better pick to win the Super Bowl than what they already are? He only makes them better. Just saying.